Sandy says read, and welcome to the channel. Today we are going to do an original tag. This is the Preparing the Booktube Scenes Tag. You guys, we are going to Wang Chung tonight. Yes, while I will be entertaining you all with 80s and retro singing, you guys do not have to sing when you do your responses to this tag. Unless, of course, you want to. You can sing if you want to sing. Get ready for this. Okay, now look, I designed this tag in response to or in concert with a tag that Bob over at Robert G. Reader, is it Robert G. Reader? Yeah, Robert G. Reader of Books. I composed this tag sort of as a companion tag to one that he created. Let's see, it was Behind the Scenes. You guys, I have a bit of a headache. So if this goes not smoothly, we're going to blame it on the headache. All right. Okay. So Bob put together his behind the scenes tag a few months ago. Pat over at Book Chat with Pat tagged me in that. And so I did a response to that tag, and I got to thinking, there are some more things that we booktubers could say and share with one another to help one another out here. And I got to thinking, all right, let's do that. Let's do a preparing the booktube scenes, not just behind the scenes. So I will put a link to Bob's original tag in the drop-down box below. I'll put my response to the behind the scenes video in the drop-down box below. And I will put all of these prompts and all this information in the drop-down box below. Everything goes in the information box below. Now let me look on my screen. All right, what is this tag about? Basically, I'm wanting to kind of expand the discussion into how we're preparing our posting, not just like the mechanics and the politics behind our posting, which we've discussed quite at length in the tag from Bob. I now want to look a little bit deeper into how we're preparing. Let's expand on that discussion and see if we can help some of the newcomers to the BookTube community, and maybe help some of the folks who might be finding themselves in a slump. Maybe you're running out of ideas for content, or maybe you're just finding yourself at a point, at a plateau, with your channel where you're like, okay, what's my next step? What's the next new thing I can do? Well, let's see if this tag doesn't help with some of those ideas, maybe some of that idea generation. Now, I am also going to start this backwards. Yes, you know how usually we do these tags and then we tag people at the end? Well, I'm going to tag people at the beginning. And there's a reason for that. Typically, when I do these things, I don't like to tag people who are like above my station, people who are like above my class, because I feel so weird about tagging people whose channels are so much bigger than mine, so much more advanced than mine. But this time, I'm really hoping that we can hear from some of those folks, because some of those folks have been doing this longer than I have, longer than some of my fellow booktubers who I'm also going to tag. They've been doing this longer. They've got more ideas. They've got more experience in it. They might have some extra tips that they can offer us by doing this tag, and I would like to hear from them. So what have I got here? Obviously, I'm going to tag Pat and Bob. Of course, I'm going to tag them, but I would like to also tag a variety of booktubers, people that I've seen do a mix of types of content here in the BookTube community, right? I mean, folks who, like some of them, I haven't seen do tags. So they might not want to do this response as like a tag. They might not want to do each one of these questions. So maybe they'll find a different way to prepare the content. And that will be a great idea for us too, okay? So I'm going to tag, I've got it here. Obviously, I'll be tagging Joe Linsdell, the fabulous creator who introduced me to BookTube, but I also want to tag Shelley Swearingen, Monty Adkins, Hannah of Hannah's Books, Jack of Spread Book Joy. I'll be tagging Kayla at Books and Lala. I have been following her channel since 2018. And when I first got into BookTube, I was following her channel. And she does some very creative things with her channel. And kind of hoping that we can get some information from her. Jim at Jim's Books, Reading and Stuff. Daniela at Uncommon Reader. Morris at More Affirmative. Elaine at Cobalt Dragon. And Elaine has been doing live streams on her channel. And you guys might remember I did do some live streams here at the channel, mostly where I was interviewing authors and publishers and editors. I was interviewing some folks here on the channel. And I stopped doing that. I stopped doing that because it was just a bit difficult and anxiety ridden, to get people at a specific time and to set that up. It was getting to be a little bit more than I could deal with. I think I would like to go back to that concept and maybe interview some authors to bring to you guys, but interview them ahead of time and then maybe not live stream it, but premiere it for you guys at a specific time of the week so y'all know when to expect it. But I'm hoping that Elaine might be able to talk to us a bit about live streams in one of these questions. I'm tagging Lexi at Newly Nova. I'm tagging Kathy at Enchanted Reads. I'm tagging Renee and Freyna at Beyond Books. I'm also going to tag Tudor Smith of Jane Austen discussion fame. I've not seen him do tags on his channel, but he and Ellie Dashwood, I'm going to tag those two because I'm so impressed with their discussion of classics and Victorian literature, their discussions of Jane Austen specifically, and also Ellie's discussions of the Brontes. So I'm hoping that they'll be able to give us some good tips and knowledge out there. And you guys, I'm just suppressing my fear of being smacked back into my place by these larger channels. I'm hoping that we will all be able to discuss good, awesome ideas for behind the scenes and preparing the scenes. So let's dive into this. I will be putting timestamps below so you guys don't have to sit through the crazy things. You don't have to sit through this intro. You don't have to sit through any of the questions that you don't care about. We'll just dive in. Okay, prompt number 1. Time, oh, give me time. Talk a little bit about your time commitment for your favorite type of book video content. Which of the many book-related videos do you most enjoy compiling, filming, and posting? And about how long does it typically take you to compile, film, and post? Now, you could share with the audience what goes into compiling and filming that type of content if you want to get that in depth with this question and answer. But I'm going to share for my time commitment on my favorite type of book video content. I really like to do the book reviews. I think that is my favorite type of content to bring to you guys here on the channel. Because I like to read books and I like to talk about the books afterward. And there's not really anyone in my real life who will just sit down and talk to me about books. And that's not happening in my day job. That's not happening just out in life. So it has to happen here on the channel. So I think the book review content is the content I enjoy most. Now, to prepare that, the time commitment, it varies, obviously, depending on the length of the book, right? It also varies depending on what I found in the book that was worth bringing to you guys. If the motto here at Sandy Says Read is you can always find something good in a book. Now, if I was able to find just a ton of good stuff in the book, if I truly enjoyed it a lot and I loved all the characters, I'm going to be able to make a really long video for you guys. It's going to be a long video, and preparing that is going to take some time. I'm going to take a lot of time preparing, the character list and my Sandy synopsis and all that good stuff. It's going to take hours to read the book. Then it's going to take probably an hour to prepare all my notes and to go back through the book and see where I tabbed things and where I underlined things and to make sense of that in an outline to bring to you guys. Then it's going to take me probably an hour, if not an hour and a half, to film it, because there are breaks and stuff in here when I'm filming things. Then I'm going to edit that. Editing that will take hopefully not an hour and a half, in the editing portion of it, but I do have to go through the whole thing. I have to sit through an hour and a half listening to my voice, but I go through and I do light editing. And in the behind the scenes tag, you will see my response about editing, I don't take out a whole lot of stuff. I mean, if you hear hems and haws and like, if you hear me saying like all the time, I can't stop doing that. It's just in my vocabulary. It's in the way I talk. It's how I am now. I don't take those things out. That's just me. What you see is what you get. But I will take out obvious mistakes. Like if I accidentally say the wrong character's name and like talk about that for, you know, a paragraph worth of talk, I will delete that because I'm misleading you if I'm talking about the wrong character. So I'll take out misleading stuff. Yeah. Okay. So the time commitment I make for my favorite type of video content depends on how long the book is and how much I enjoyed it. Prompt number 2 is the Max Headroom Prompt. Let's give a little technical info, which you've probably had to answer in other tags before. For newcomers to your channel, let us know what type of camera you use, what kind of software do you use to film, do you use editing software, and if so, what kind? You could also talk about your lighting here if you wish, but I don't intend for this to be like an overly technical discussion right here. You don't have to dwell on these technical bits if you don't want to. Okay. I use a Logitech like web camera that I purchased back in like 2018 or 2019, back when this channel was in its infancy. That's the camera I still use today. It's not fancy, it's not glamorous, it's not expensive, and I just have it on a tripod in front of a ring light. I've got these things just, they're set up so very precariously, but they are set up, and I leave them set up all the time to help save some time when I'm doing the booktube stuff in here. Okay. I do have a studio light with a diffuser on it over here, and that shines onto the stuff that I have for like a backdrop behind me. You guys, that's kind of it. I mean, I do have, what is this? Blue. I do have a blue microphone and then, you know, just a dragon pad filter, pop filter in front of it. Nothing extra fancy. I don't do anything real fancy. I mean, I think the microphone cost more than the camera did. And I did that because the microphone in my computer just wasn't picking up very well when I was using just the computer for the setup. When I very first started this, I was using just the computer's web camera and just the computer's microphone. You know, that was the cheapest thing to do. And I was just using a free software that came with the computer and a free editing software that I might have had to download. But now I'm using StreamYard to film and to edit. And yes, StreamYard is a little bit clunky for the editing. StreamYard is just a little bit clunky on all things for me. And that might be because I'm not a video editor. I'm not Steven Spielberg, as I have said many times here on this channel. That's not my strength. That's not my strong suit. But it's, how do I want to say it? It's an easy enough program to work with that I can work with it. Prompt number 3, you spin me right round, baby, right round. What elements of your content creation or filming setup do you have on auto repeat? What aspects of your booktube channel are repetitive or consistent, and why? And let's see, what else did I say here? Is that, oh yeah, is that for your ease of content creation, or has it come about naturally due to the type of content you enjoy making, or is that to give your audience a familiar experience? I mean, tell us the method behind the madness here. Okay, I do have a few things I do repetitively here on the channel, and repetitively in my setup as well. Those are to save time for myself. Like I just mentioned a minute ago, I've got my camera on its little tripod, and I've got the ring light set up for it. I've got the diffuser light set up. I've got the microphone set up. These things are set up here in this room. The backdrop is set up all the time. That is always set up in this room. This is the second bedroom in my house. I've just got a 2-bedroom house. This would be the guest room. If someone were to call me up and say, Sandy, I'm coming to, you know, that part of Florida this weekend. Can I stay in your guest room? Oh, I would have to do some cleaning and changing around of this room for that to happen, because the futon over there is just full of my book stuff. Yeah, this room has turned into the Booktube studio. But that's, I mean, I film in here every weekend. So things are set up. That, I guess, repetitive thing, that consistent thing is set up for my convenience. That just makes it easier for me to get in here, set the computer down, plug everything in, and go. All right. Now, another repetitive thing I do, you might have noticed, is Sandy Says Read. At the beginning of every video, that's how I start the video. So everybody knows, video starting, here we go. Sandy Says Read. And that's the name of the channel. Repetition works. Is that good enough? Can I move on and let you guys answer that question for yourselves? Prompt number 4. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Do you check your analytics? Do your results influence what content you focus on or when you post that content? And I have checked my analytics a couple of times over the past year or two. I don't have enough subscribers for YouTube to give me specific analytics. There are certain things I've looked at or I've tried to look at, and YouTube is like, oh, you don't have a large enough audience to show this, or there's not enough subscribers to show this or to track this. I'm like, well, okay, fine. I can look at other things. So I can look at, when people stopped watching a certain thing. I can see, I can just look at and see how many people have viewed a specific video. And I can kind of see, okay, the videos I love to make, the book reviews, don't always get the most views. So that's a shame, but I enjoy making that content. And there are people out there who want to see book reviews. So I'm going to keep doing that. So if I could see more analytics, it might in the future influence what content I'm spending the most time on. But right now it doesn't. Right now I'm just creating content because I like to do it. Prompt number 5, Janie's got a gun. I'm going to assume that a majority of booktubers out there have young adult and adult readers in their audiences. And I'm talking young adult, over the age of 13, over the age of 14, young adult. Okay, I'm guessing that most of us out here creating content are creating content for older, more mature readers. I'm betting. And you guys can rephrase this question and fix it how you need to fix it. Okay, but if and when you review a children's picture book or a young reader chapter book or a young adult book or other obviously kid-centric work, do you feel a responsibility to the parents watching your channel to point out triggers and harmful content you noticed in the piece? Now, I'm going to use Take Care of Dexter as my example for this question, because I recently, within the last 2 years maybe, I reread Take Care of Dexter, which is a middle grade chapter book. It's full of illustrations. Hang on, I should show it to you. Hang on. I could have been more prepared for this. Okay, Take Care of Dexter by Clyde Robert Bulla. This one, I read this when I was a little kid, right? It's from Scholastic Book Services. This is a book that it has a lot of illustrations. Oh, I opened to the one we need. It has a lot of illustrations in it. It's the story of a young boy who has a neighbor. Of course he does. A young boy who has a family move in near to him, next door to him. And that family has a pony named Dexter. And when the family has to move away very suddenly in the night, they disappear in the night, the young boy then takes care of the horse, Dexter. He goes and finds the horse in the woods and takes care of the pony for his friend who is gone. Okay. Now, the odd thing about this, I didn't remember as an adult, adult Sandy 2 years ago, I didn't remember the problematic and troublesome themes that were in this book, this middle grade chapter book. There's a very troublesome theme in here of the uncle at that neighboring house. He's an alcoholic and he's abusive. And the whole reason that family left, that they moved out, is because he was being abusive. And wow, what a dark and difficult theme to have in a book for this age group. I mean, it was it was surprising to me as an adult to reread this and go, wow, how did I miss that as a kid? And wow, what a heavy topic to have in a kid's book, a child's book. So if I were, well, and as I was talking about it here on the channel, I pointed that out to readers. I don't believe that I have any like middle grade readers watching my channel. I don't believe that I do, but there are parents watching my channel. And if you were picking this up for your kid, I would want you to be aware that there's a really dark theme underneath this story. There's also a very wonderful theme in that this young boy, he's like maturing through his arc, and he's taking care of this pony. He's taking care of this pony for his friend. And when his friend comes back and discovers, oh my gosh, my pony's still alive. I mean, it's a very heartwarming moment, right? So it's a good story. I liked it. I liked it as a kid. I liked it as an adult. I was just taken aback by that very dark theme. And I felt it was my responsibility as a booktuber. If I'm going to be sharing this story, I need to point out, hey, there's a really dark theme in here too. Prompt number 6, the never-ending story, which I think I just butchered, sorry. Okay, when you read a duology versus a trilogy versus a series, do you post one long video about the whole work or break it into individual book reviews? And I'm betting that quite a few booktubers are going to have similar thoughts about this to me. I bet we do, but let's see. What is your thought process behind your decisions? Okay, so I brought some examples for us to talk about, okay? One example is The Word and the Void by Terry Brooks. I did individual reviews for each of the stories in this trilogy back in 2023. I was reading this one because I was interviewing Terry at Imaginarium that summer. So I wanted to read this series. I hadn't read this trilogy from him yet. So I wanted to read it and have just one more set of stories of his in my brain before I interviewed him, before I saw him in person. You know, the only thing I talked to him about was Sword of Shannara, right? I wanted to be able to talk to him about more than that. So I read these, but I brought each of the 3 individually to you guys here on the channel. I had quite a bit to say about each one of the stories, each one of the novels in here. There was a lot to talk about, so I was able to break it down into 3 individual reviews rather than just doing one review of all 3, even though all 3 are in the book there, right? Now, we did the Pit Dragon trilogy by Jane Yolen here on the channel just like a year ago, and I did put all 3 of those into one video for you guys. It was a pretty long video. I think it was over an hour, hour and a half, maybe. It was over an hour. And I did put all 3 of those into one. It just felt right to combine all 3 of them because all 3 of them just sort of piggybacked on one another. The stories did build on one another. So it just made sense to do it that way. When I did, hold please. When I did the Hunter trilogy from Mercedes Lackey back in 2018, when I did this series, I did Hunter, then Elite, then Apex, and I did each of them. No, I did all 3 of them together. I think I talked about all 3 of them together, but there is a creature in here called the Thunderbirds, and I did separate out a video about the Thunderbirds. Even though there was plenty to talk about in all 3 stories, I put them all into one, but the Thunderbirds they just deserved their own video. They were so cool. They were that cool. They deserved their own video to talk about them. So this, the Hunter series, it is on the channel here. It's a ways back, and it's a little rough. Yeah. Okay, what else? The Illuminae files, I did put all 3 of them. I did put all 3 of those books into one video. I remember back when I was doing the Illuminae files trilogy, a lot of other booktubers were talking about, especially the first book in the series, the Illuminae files. And then when Gemina came out, I didn't see as many people talking about it. And I certainly didn't see as many people talking about Obsidio. And I'm like, well, for Pete's sake, I've enjoyed all 3 of these. So I put all 3 of them into one video to talk about all 3 of them. But I focused on Obsidio because everyone else was talking about the other books. So I didn't feel I needed to talk about the other books as much. So I really focused on the third one. It's just I crammed them all into one video. Is this making sense? Am I rambling too much? You guys, what else am I going to say about this? My thought process behind those decisions. Oh, then there are books in, not necessarily in a series, but many books by an author, like Jane Austen. This is the example I want to give you. I have seen folks out here on, YouTube, on Booktube, who talk about a book from Jane Austen a lot. They can break it down and talk about all the different nuances of it and the different characters in the novel. And, I have tagged a couple of those people. And I find that fascinating. And I find that not overwhelming, but a bit humbling. Like, I would love to get on this channel and talk about Jane Eyre. I love that book. I love that story. I love Charlotte Bronte. I have written articles in journals about the Brontes, right? And I am afraid to get on this channel and talk about Jane Eyre because other people have done it so well. And I don't know what else I have to add to the conversation. Just because I love the book and I'm obsessed with it doesn't mean I have anything new to bring to the conversation. So I'm almost afraid to add my voice to it because what am I going to say? And anything I do say, some troll out there is going to show up and go, so-and-so already said that, and so believes this. So I don't feel comfortable coming on here and talking about my favorite book, Jane Eyre, in any depth because I guess out of fear, I'm afraid someone is going to say, well, Sandy, you're stupid. Yeah. So I have fear about doing that. But what I want to say is there are folks who can take just one book and make a series of videos out of that one. And I think that's wonderful. I like it. Shall we move on to the next prompt? I think I have beaten that prompt to death. You guys can answer this prompt however you wish. Prompt number 7 is, I don't want your love. If you suspect a book you're reading, say an indie book that no one else has heard of, or like a classic that's no longer mainstream, if you suspect a book you're reading isn't going to garner a huge response when you talk about it, how do you approach reading it, annotating it, preparing a video about it, etc.? How do you bring it to your channel if you don't anticipate a large viewership as a reward for your work? Now, this one, I think that I don't care. On this one, I think I personally don't care. If I don't think that a lot of people are going to watch or care about the book review I'm doing, I'm still going to do the book review. You guys know I do a lot of indie book spotlights here on the channel, and quite a number of the indie authors I'm bringing to you are probably new to you. I'm probably showing you books that you've not heard of before. So those aren't necessarily going to bring a whole bunch of people to the viewing audience. People aren't coming to the channel to see, oh, hey, what did Sandy have to say about Jessica Kay's Rapunzel or Jessica Kay's Rapunzel's Prince? Not too many people have heard of Jessica Kay or know that she's written 2 companion books about the Rapunzel retelling. Not too many people know that and are coming here specifically to find that. Instead, they're just stumbling across the fact that Sandy has a video about this indie book and this indie author. Yeah. So I guess I don't. Okay, so how do I approach it? I approach it like I would any other book review. I read the book, and if I'm finding good things in the book, I'm going to bring those good things to you here on the channel. That's how I approach it. Prompt number 8, you were always on my mind. Sorry, guys. What book do you find yourself talking about most often on your channel? And how do you feel about that? Do you try to curb your enthusiasm for that title or that author so you aren't giving it too much attention in light of other titles? Or do you enjoy working it in as an example or a comparison title for your audience? You guys know I'm going to say Jane Eyre, right? here we are. I do try to curb my enthusiasm for Jane Eyre so that I'm not talking about it in every single stinking video, because I know you guys are probably going to get sick of hearing it in every single stinking video, right? But I have so much admiration for Charlotte Bronte and so much admiration for that book in particular that I do see ways to work it into conversations. I do. So I do try to be careful not to work it into every conversation, because I imagine that would get annoying after a while. Prompt number 9, too much time on my hands. How much anxiety or time do you allow for your titles, description boxes, and thumbnails? Anxiety, probably quite a bit of anxiety for my titles, you guys. I worry about the headlines, the titles to use for these videos. And that's because I took a course with Think Media, and they were harping on these titles. In my day job for my magazine, we stress so much about the headlines and the titles of articles. When I was in school back in the Bronze Age, we were taught that your headline had to have an active verb. It no longer does. I mean, but we were taught it had to have an active verb, and it had to relate to the story, and you wanted it to be clever, and you wanted to, play with the headline. You wanted to do something that would catch the reader's eye and make the reader go, oh, what might this be about? These days, nowadays, you don't want to be clever and cute with your headlines. You want your headline to be search engine friendly. You want the headline to say exactly what is in the article. And YouTube is kind of acting that same way. You want your headline to be searchable. You want your headline to be something that is showing the audience exactly what your video is about. Now, here's where that's a little bit weird, because in the Booktube community, well, what is our headline about? Our headline is, a review of To Kill a Mockingbird. Our headline is a review of Choices Meant for Gods. It's a review of blah, 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 blah. It's not necessarily answering a question that the searcher is asking. When the user of YouTube's platform comes to the search bar and starts typing in their question, we want to be answering the question with our headline. Not all searchers are coming in there typing, where can I find a review of this book? Yeah. So Booktube does have sort of a disadvantage when it comes to how our headlines are helping readers find us. That makes sense? Yeah. I could probably do an entire video on that. But yeah, anxiety. I do have anxiety when it comes to getting the titles right for these videos and making them something that people are going to search or find or stumble upon. The description boxes, I should stress about them more, but I don't have time to stress about them. The thumbnails, I probably should stress about them more. The Think Media course that I took talked about how to make your thumbnail something that's going to grab people's attention. My colors are all wrong, basically. My colors are all wrong for grabbing people's attention. And I hate putting myself in the thumbnail. I hate having me be the picture of this channel. But you're taught it's got to be you, that people want to see a face with your channel. Oh, for Pete's sake. So here I am. Yeah. Well, my colors are all wrong because I do all my marketing in purple. I do that because Amanda Charisse, my main character in my main fantasy series, she was born with an amethyst on her cheek. That's how we know she is, the prophesied one that we're supposed to be watching for. She was born with that amethyst, and she has purple eyes. So all of my marketing has always been done in purple and lavender and amethyst, those rich purple tones. I've always done that. So for me to suddenly break with that and start using orange and red and popping colors off of the thumbnail would be wrong, would be jarring, would be weird. And it's not me. And that's no longer the Sandy Says Read channel. So I think it would be disingenuous, and I think it would be weird, and I think it would no longer match my channel if I suddenly started doing thumbnails that looked like race cars. I'm not going to do race cars for the Sandy Says Read Booktube channel. Not going to happen. Yeah. So yes, I do have anxiety when it comes to titles, description boxes, and thumbnails. Let's hear what you guys have to say. Prompt number 10. You've got the look. You surely do be cooking in my book. How much time or anxiety do you allow for yourself and your appearance when preparing to film? Is this something that you feel you must put time and effort into? If you're comfortable sharing your getting ready routine, please do, but don't feel obligated to do that. I'm looking for, share with the audience, with other booktubers. How anxious do you feel about that? What kind of time do you put into getting yourself ready for these videos? I personally probably spend way too much time getting myself ready for these videos. I think I'm probably way too vain about it. You guys out there probably don't care what I look like when I'm talking to you about books. You probably don't care, but I'm a girl and I've been taught all my life that people are judging me on my appearance. I've been taught that all my life. I grew up in the 80s. I grew up in the 80s when we had like the tall hair and, we used Aquanet. We reduced the ozone layer with the Aquanet. Okay. I grew up in the 80s, as you can tell by the songs that are going with all these prompts. Okay. I probably do spend way too much time, making sure that I don't look like I just woke up from sleeping through a migraine. Yeah. But you guys, how do you for your booktube filming? Prompt number 11. She is watching the detectives. Oh, he's so cute. How do you find your next read? I mean, other than the TBR pile, do you have any hangups or worries about consumerism or like cancel culture coming for you because you're doing book hauls? I mean, if you do book hauls on your channel, what tips can you offer other booktubers for bringing additional books to their audiences? Now here on the channel, I have a video I did, a whole video on, how to do more reading on a budget, how to bring more books into your life on a budget. And if I think of it, I'll put a link to that in the drop-down box below. With everything else that's going in the drop-down box below, I'll try to remember to put that in there too. But I want to hear from you guys. Where do you look for your next read? Where do you find it? Obviously, we can use the library. I personally love to go to actual author events. I like to go to, like the Strawberry Festival here in Florida. I like to go to these places and discover that an author has set up a table there, and I can walk up to that indie author and say, "What have you got?" I like doing that. And in fact, here recently, I posted a mini book haul. I think it was within the May monthly wrap up. I had a mini book haul from the Sci-Fi Florida event because there were a bunch of authors there. There was I did a mini book haul from the Million Lives event. That travesty. Yeah. So I like to support indie authors in that way. What question are we on now? What prompt are we up to? 12. I always feel like somebody's watching me. That was awful. Okay, I apologize to Rockwell. Okay, which booktubers do you follow for the joy of it versus those you follow because you're learning the craft from them? And maybe there are booktubers you're following for both reasons, okay? While you're mentioning them, why not tag them to participate in this group knowledge project? Okay, so the booktubers that I follow for the joy of it, I've mentioned some of them at the beginning of this tag. And then there are others that I didn't mention at the beginning of this tag because I'm not necessarily recommending them as people to emulate, but I watch them for the joy of it because they make me laugh or they make me cringe in like a funny way. And I'm not necessarily going to shout them out and encourage emulation of that. There are some booktubers that are kind of a guilty pleasure to watch them. Let's put it that way. Yeah. But I'm also kind of learning the craft from them too, because the way they're splicing their content or editing what they're saying. I mean, just watching the way some booktubers put their content together is educational. So, all right. So you guys out there, share with us here in your responses or in the comments below, however you want to do it. Share with us what booktubers you're watching and you're following who are helping you learn and grow. Which brings us to prompt 13, the final prompt. We are the world. We are the children. Tag some folks to participate. And you guys, please remember, YouTube does not necessarily let me know when people have tagged me or when people have said my name or put my tag in their information boxes. I typically do not know when that has happened. YouTube doesn't let me know. So please come back to this video and leave a comment below saying, hey, Sandy, I mentioned you or I did this video or something. Let me know and give me the link. And then everyone who sees this will see the link in the comments and we can all go watch your video too. Okay. Let's see. Then tag folks of your own. When you do this video, please tag some folks that you think would be game. Folks who would love to participate in this and who would have some cool stuff to say and information to share. You guys, that's it. That is the Preparing the Booktube Scenes tag to complement or go with the Behind the Scenes tag. You guys, thumbs up for all the preparation and stuff that we do to bring book content to readers out there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for contemplating doing this tag. Thank you for the responses you're going to give.